Welcome to another Ozarks Voices oral history interview, a project of Missouri State University Libraries and its Ozark Studies Institute initiative. I'm Craig Amason with University Libraries, and today's date is Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. Our special guest is Little Bird Rivers, and we are at her home in Madison County, just outside Kingston, Arkansas. Little Bird is, among other things, a visual artist creating sketches of wildlife and other nature subjects in charcoal and other media. Thank you so much for allowing me the privilege to talk with you today.
You're welcome.
Why don't we start off by having you tell us where you're from originally and how you came to settle in the Ozarks.
I was born and raised here
Okay.
on the Osage River. My roots go really deep here. My grandfather, Burton, has a historical house in Shady Grove, Arkansas, just outside of Berryville, Arkansas. My mother's 98 years old. She was born in Eureka Springs.
And do you mind telling us when you were born?
1955.
Okay. What can you tell us a little bit more about your family and your ancestors?
Okay.
I'm interested in that.
My grandfather, which is my mother's father, was Andrew Jackson Davis. He worked for Buck Saunders, the museum. He has a museum now in Berryville, Arkansas. He was the one that named Eureka Springs. My grandfather was part Native American, and Buck Saunders hired Native American to be his hunting and fishing guides, and my grandfather was one of them. He had my mother in 1921, and like I said, she's 98 years old. She is still living in the Ozarks on the Osage River. Like I said, my grandfather Burton was here. He married a Kansas Native American from Kansas. They had built a house. It is historical right now. It has been remodeled, and it's over at Shady Grove. I came here in Kingston in 2002 and bought this house. It is 120 years old. It was a barn. I killed rats and everything in it, and I brought it. Lived here by myself with me, my dog, and some few animals. And it's on the Kings River. Mm-hmm. This land is on the Kings River. We have 31 acres, the mountain and the river. And then I married my husband, White Wolf, with this chief of the Metis, and he happened to be a carpenter. And together, we've been together for 7 years, and so we restored this house to its beauty, and we're still working on it, but we brought it back to life so it can live another 120 years.
What do you know about this property?
This property belonged to the house. It's one big farm, and the house just a few, half a mile up the road, was the main house. And it's a big plantation house, 2-story. And this was the cowboy's house and the ranch hand's house that lived here. And then there was a man called Joe Johnson. If you ask anybody, they call it Joe Johnson's house. And it had just the upstairs and this bottom. Her kitchen was where my stove is now, and the kitchen where it is now was just a porch. Okay. So, like I said, it was built in 2019. I mean, not teen, when it was built. And but anyway, it's a beautiful country here, and I'm glad I was born and raised here all my life.
Tell us about your early life.
My early life.
Yeah, education.
we lived in a 4-roomed house with no bathroom, no running water. My mother had 9 children. We struggled. My mother went to 3rd grade, and my father was not educated, but he was a very smart man and did his best. My siblings, they got married early, 7 girls and 2 boys. My oldest brother went to the service when he was 17, so he was a Vietnam vet. My oldest sister married and they went into the service. And then I have 2 sisters that live in Eureka and 2 that lives in Huntsville, Arkansas. I have a brother that lives in Oklahoma. And we were raised very, very, very poorly. I have, I think, one out of our 9 children graduated. My 9 siblings graduated. I do not have a high school education. But my mother taught me how to skin deer, how to hunt, and how to survive off the land. My mother was part native, so she knew the herbs, the medicines that these mountains provide. And I put up, and I skinned 4 deer last year, and that's what we live on, this mountain, and the gardens that I raised and canned and put up. But I was taught how to do that and how to survive off this land in my early years, and I'm grateful for my mom to teach me that. The school education was not important to us because, I don't know, my mother and father did not push that. We were taught to learn, to sew, to cook, whatever we needed to survive.
So again, I'm going to ask you, you were part of a close-knit family.
Yes.
When you were young. Did the older siblings help take care of the younger siblings? Was that?
When my oldest sister was married, and she was kind of like my mom, she took me places when I was 4 years old, and I got to ride in a car, and I would stand up in between her and her boyfriend in a car, and they would take me to movies and stuff like that when she was older. She was 12 years older than I, so, and then, she was gone a lot. They was in the service, so they were gone a lot. So I didn't get the joy of having her around, when I was really young. So that's
Any
close.
any sad memories from childhood that stand out to you? Because there must have been significant challenges.
Yes, the sad memories were, my mother protected us a lot, but the struggling of finding, we would eat what Daddy killed on the mountain. We ate. We didn't have store-bought food. I don't remember going to, the store and ice cream. I didn't know what ice cream was. Didn't know what the ice cream cone was. We thought it was paper, and we discovered we could eat it. We would walk miles to go to town, to go to Berryville. We would walk, and we'd be hand in hand, and we'd walk the road to go to store. We didn't have a car, and we would walk a long time, and that was sad for Mom. And I lost a sister. Mama miscarried, and because Mama had to walk, and when she miscarried, she was bleeding and walking down the road trying to get some help. So that was sad, losing my sister, and the sad thing is seeing my mom and my dad struggle. But I struggle all my life too. I never had nothing.
Well, I had a question related to what you were talking about earlier. Were you born in the house, or were you born in a hospital, or?
My mother had children, her older children at home. But by the time I was born, they had the hospitals and stuff up. So we had a county nurse that would come, and her name was Mary Gentry, and she would come and look after us at home. And I always loved her, and she would come and give us our vaccinations or whatever we needed. But she would come to the house.
Was she a county?
She was a county nurse, and back
right.
then they would come to the houses, and yes, Dr. Porter, his name was Dr. Porter, that delivered me in a hospital. I was delivered in a hospital.
What hospital was that?
In Bearville.
Okay.
Bearville, Arkansas. Hospital.
Moving in a different direction, do you identify with a specific Native American tribe or other organization?
I am part Cherokee and Kansas. I am not federally recognized, but my belief is Red Road. I am part of the Northern Cherokee out of Columbus, Missouri. I'm a clan mother out of Indiana with the Metis.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Metis?
My husband is a Metis. He went to Canada. They are out of the Canada. Crazy Horse, and he went there for a sanctuary up there when they was hunting him. They are French and Native American. They are, and they started their own nation up there in Canada, and they are Metis, French and Indian.
Now, are you by origin part of that, or by choice part of that?
Just by choice.
Just by choice. Okay. But you have traced ancestry back to the Cherokee.
Yes.
So you.
In Kansas.
Okay.
My grandmother was Kansas.
Okay.
Her house was there in Shady Grove.
Tell us a little bit about Kansas for those of us.
Kansas native. They are from Kansas. The people of the North Wind, and they were on the Trail of Tears, and now they're a part of Oklahoma.
Let's move in the direction of your art, because that's what I want to focus on. How did you become interested in art? Did you have any interest as a child?
I loved art ever since I was a child. I never had any art lessons. By the time I was 15, I had an offer from a newspaper for me to draw, and of course I didn't do that because I had no education. I was scared, and I didn't do that. And I started painting a little bit and stuff, and I just kept drawing. Like I said, I've never had a lesson or nothing, but it's just something that I love, and I love the wildlife. I love their spirit, and when I draw a face on in their eyes, I start with eyes, and when you see that, it's very spiritual to me because of the animals. I pray and I meditate for the people when I'm drawing. It's all spiritual to me. I'm very, very spiritual on the Red Road. I live my native life every day. We do ceremonies. This house is part of a healing. We've had people from that needed homeless people. My door has been open to the homeless people for drugs and alcohol recovery. This house is a love, and even though when I didn't have no bathroom or water, they still came. And this house is very spiritual. And my animals, the fairies that I draw is the ones that live in my woods. The animals is very spiritual to me. The bear, the hawk, the eagle, the wolves, the things I draw. A lot of my art is going to people that wants me to draw, certain their pets. The people, we love our pets. They're part of our family. And so I draw that to get their spirit. My art is very, very special to me. It's not just, putting things on paper. This is spiritual. And as you look into their eyes or their ways, that you can feel that if you look at through your heart at my art.
It's more than just a hobby for you.
Yeah, it's not a hobby. It's I have to draw. I have to get that. I have to get that feeling out. Do that, and that's what my art is.
You said you start with the eyes.
Start with the eyes.
Is that with the creatures, with animals?
The wolf that I draw here, that's on my wall. His eyes will follow you wherever you go, and the eyes is when I look at people. It's usually right in the eyes because that's where your spirit is, and kind of what kind of person you are. And that's why I do my animals to capture their spirit.
And that's through the eyes primarily.
Through the eyes.
Yeah. Whether it's human beings or whether it's animals.
Exactly. I don't do human beings. I am not a portrait drawer. I am not a copier. Somebody, well, can you copy? I said, no, I'm not a copier. It comes from what I see, and what I feel. You may want me to draw your animal. I can draw that at it in a different perspective. It would be your animal, but it would be in a different perspective of spiritual, and so that's who I am.
Yeah. Do you work every day with your art?
Yes, every day. Every day. I just finished a hawk that I had done. I have a photographer now. I didn't have that because I don't get out. I don't have a camera, but I have a photographer, Pat and Mary Sweet, that is gifted me their pictures, their photography, so I could be without any copyright infringements. So right now I'm starting to use their capture of the hawks and stuff, and then I use it in my own as I see them.
Okay, so do you ask them to go photograph something specific
No.
for you, or they just photograph and bring it to you, or?
No, I do not ask them. They do, and they. I asked them the other day if I could use their photographs, and they gave me written permission. I have that, and they do the buffalo, they do the elk, and all that, and that helps me do that.
So, would you say that you draw inspiration? You get inspiration from this part of the world, from the Ozarks?
Yes, I don't draw tigers. I don't draw elephants, things like that. It's the eagles, the hawks, the bear, the wolves. We have 4 wolves that lives up on our mountain.
Really?
That we take, yes, and they come, and I was sitting here at the table and seen them chasing deer. It's like National Geographic. The eagles are down here on the river. I sit on my porch and watch the eagles. It's just beautiful here in the Ozarks. and especially down here in the mountains. The elk comes and we set up the teepees. We have a camp here, and we do seminars for the children, historical seminars for the children. My husband does, and set up the teepees, and we have camp, and the elk come down and stand at our teepee, and that's a beautiful sight down here on the river. And I hope they keep that. I struggle keeping, because when I moved here, there was no one on this land, on the river, and now people's moving in, homeless people coming across the street. It's sad way people are coming, through the cities and looking for a place, the homeless. That's sad to me, what I see. I was born, very rough, but then I see, people living in boxes, a lot worse than I ever had it. Even though I had, a 4-roomed house, but I had a wood stove and my dad cooked wood, but what I see today hardens my heart. And so that's why I pray. That's why I pray every time. I sit on the couch and I draw, and I'm praying for the people, and especially when Standing Rock was going on. We've got to take care of Mother Earth because we don't get another one. And we don't get another one. And these Ozark Mountains, the Boxley Mountains, where all the tourists come to see, we got to protect that. We got to protect that. We can't trash it up. We can't destroy. And when we go in the woods to pick our herbs and stuff, we ask permission to do that. And when we go up and my husband kills the deer, it's a ceremony done before we go up there and do that, because that's the Creator's creation. Is not mine to take, but that's what we eat. I don't go to the store. I can't afford the meat. I raise my chickens off the land. It's all organic. My garden was organic. The deer up on the mountains, now the diseases are coming and hitting them, that maybe, one day that we can't eat them because they got the wasting disease. We have to be very careful with that. But the herbs and all is not, that mountain don't have no poison on them. And a lot of people here on the mountain, we make sure that stays. We don't like the chemicals and stuff, and the stuff that's, the world that we live in now. I'm worried, very worried. But I pray a lot. I pray a lot. And it's through my art, my drawings. I do.
The people that you talk about, the homeless who've you seen, has that increased in recent years?
Very much so. Yeah.
Where do you think they're coming from?
The cities, I think, because a lot of people are trying to live off grid, but they buy these little Dirksen buildings to live off grid, and they're trying to, but you have to have skills. Like I was raised that way, and if you are from the city and you don't have the skill, it takes a lot of money to live off grid. It really does, because you don't have the skills to live off the mountain. You don't have the skills, and you need to have the skills to do that.
Have you seen people try to do that and fail?
Oh, yes.
I bet you have.
Very much so.
I bet you have.
And the thousands of dollars that they spent will just go buy you a place. It doesn't make no sense, because you're it just doesn't work if you don't have the skills.
Why do you think that they have some kind of romantic ideal about how that's going to happen? I mean, they don't really necessarily need to live off grid. They just want to live off.
They just want to try to get out of the outer world. I call it the outer world. And we live. Okay, there was a man on TV the other day that that is capturing all the animals that's in captivity. He worked for National Geographic, and he said we live in the artificial world, and these are real. The animals, the wolves, these are real. These mountains are real. This is the real. This is real. This is not covered up by the cement. These are not, and that's what saddens me is they come to the real world here to see the beauty, but then they leave trash, and then they leave this, and then they want to live here. Yeah, really, but you go up on these mountains and you may buy your house. It ain't have no well. There ain't no water, so you're gonna have to catch rainwater. Well, with all the pollution and all the chemicals, then the rainwater ain't fitting to drink. When I was a little girl, I used to eat snow. We'd make snow ice cream. And, my mama would make snow ice cream for us. That's the only ice cream we had. And you can't do that now. So,
that's amazing.
I'm worried.
We used to do the same thing when I was a child. We did whenever it snowed. We would go and put vanilla extract and a little bit of sugar in it and so forth. And then as I got older, we obviously couldn't do that.
You can't do that.
Right.
So my the wells that I have, this place has got 3 wells on it. It's all natural water. My well is only 100 feet deep. The water, the pure water that comes off these mountains, the springs that feed these houses, they're natural springs that feed these houses. And if we destroyed our mountain, we would lose our water.
Yeah.
So they brought the city water in because they thought it would be better, because they about to close our school down because they had wells. And it was great. Some people didn't have water, and the wells are, great. The city water is great because they couldn't, get water. But I'm not hooked up to it. It runs right in front of my house. I am not hooked up to it. My well provides everything I need. I'm very careful with it. I have a well down there in my garden. And, I'm not hooked up to the city water here.
How do you power your well, your pump?
It is electric.
It's electric pump?
I do have electric, finally.
Yeah.
But I didn't. When I moved here, I had one wire that ran the electricity here. And,
Do you heat with gas or
wood? And then we just was it last year? 2 years ago, we got propane. But we've always had wood. And thanks to my neighbors. If it wasn't for my neighbors that come and dug me a septic tank, and my neighbor seen me struggle here, and he gifted me this beautiful wood stove that I use now. And he said, "Little bird, you're not going to freeze again." So he makes sure this community is very, very close knit. If they like you, but if the local people here, the library is a beautiful, beautiful community here, and they will go out of their way to help you. And if it wasn't for my neighbor that come and done the electric in this house, my neighbor that done the septic tank, and that's only been 5 years. So, but I've been here since 2002. See,
right?
So I just now had that, and my husband building the house. Appreciate that.
That was a rough decade there for a while.
That was a very rough decade.
Yeah.
Very, very rough. And but I loved it. It made the roughness makes me who I am today.
Sure.
And it makes me appreciate the gifts of life.
Yeah.
The little comforts. And as I'm getting older, every rock you see on this, I'm the Stone Nation keeper. And every rock that you see on this land in big boulders, I moved them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do that now. I've got osteoarthritis and things like that in my age, but I don't dwell on that. I live, and I sat here many years without even going to town. Nobody knew me, who I was. They know kind of who I was,
Mm-hmm.
but just recently I started going into town,
Mm-hmm.
going to the cafe. I've never been there before. Within the last month,
And
2 months,
yeah.
I've been going there. And the librarian lady is the one that got me out to visit the town. Even though I was here on this highway, I didn't go nowhere. And so within this last month, I started going to town. I met Madison Woods, a beautiful another artist, and she is taking me now. I did my first art show, and if it wasn't for, I just feel like the creator wanted me to get out and meet people, the outside world, and so I've been doing that, and I'm very grateful for all the people, the loving people, the new friends I've made, and all that, and I'm very grateful for that.
That's great. You said the librarian you've made friends with the librarian?
The librarian, Miss Linda, she is our matriarch of Kingston. She's very, very special to us. She's from Louisiana. She's not local. She's from Louisiana, but she does a lot of activities for the children. The music on the square that
Mm-hmm.
people come.
Yeah.
We go once a month and we play our drums. I do play the Native American flute. We play our drums and people come together and we play, music. Kenneth Wright, he's a banjo player, and then the people come play, says poems and jokes, and it's just a gathering. We do that every month, once a month, and Miss
Is that on
Linda,
the square there?
yes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
on the square, and we're trying now to get. We bought the old feed store, and we're getting that that ready for more people to come. We want to do things for the children. They don't have instruments here in school.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a music teacher, and I would like to teach them maybe to play the flute or whatever. So we're gathering up to do that. It's still in progress. Fixing up the old feed store by the library. But yes, Miss Linda, she's done a lot for the community. A sad fact, we're getting older, and the grandpa's flea market is getting ready to sell because we're getting older, and and I don't know what's going to happen to Kingston, but I hope people, I hope it does not. We have the art store down there, art gallery,
Right.
and the cafe. Miss Gina, she's, we go there and have a woman's every morning we get up and have coffee.
Oh, that's great.
To go there, and I just started doing that.
That's wonderful.
And
Do you have any of your work displayed at the art
I did,
gallery?
but I took them out.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and that was when my first piece of art I sold was there.
Mm-hmm.
But I took them out.
Okay.
Mm.
Is there something special or unique about the Ozarks?
The people.
Mm-hmm.
The old people, the elderly. When I was a child, we would have big music, and we would have big feeds and just set out tables, or we'd have a hog skull at the hog, killing. Mm-hmm. We'd go and butcher hogs, and we'd all go out there, and everybody helped, and we'd have big dinners, big tables, and we would play music and jig dance and all that, and that was, and we still do that. The old people, their fiddles, their banjos, and all that, the old country songs, and the old churches. I'm Native American, but the churches, when we were little, my church house, when I was little up on Pinchon Mountain, they moved it, a little red church house, schoolhouse. We went to school there, one room little schoolhouse, and they moved it to the historical part of Bearville. So it's behind the old courthouse, the historical part of Bearville.
It's been preserved.
It's been preserved, and my sister Donna Perkins was part of that, bringing that off the mountain, Pinchon Mountain, because they was going to tear it down, and that's kind of the way I felt about this house. I didn't want it tore down, so
Saved it.
so we saved it.
Yeah.
So because it has history.
Sure.
I love history. The people, a 96-year-old lady came and pulled up in my yard with her grandchildren and says, "My daddy built this house. I was born in the White House up above." She said, "This was the cowboy house, the ranch hand's house." And the history here in the Ozarks go way, way back. And the people that comes in, we have a lot of people from Louisiana that moves up here, but the people that come here, they see the appreciation of the Ozarks here, and they love it, and they're very grateful to live here. The people that was not born and raised here.
So you think it's the people really more than anything else that makes this a...
I think so, because we come together to help the community. Like you go in the cities, they may not even wave at you. Here, they'll wave at you. They'll stop, and it's very, very loving community here.
What are some of the challenges faced by those who live deep in the Ozarks region, in places like Madison County? Is it poverty? Is it
poverty? Lots of poverty. Water. Challenges is water, getting water up on the mountains. Not so much food, I don't think, because a lot of we know how to grow gardens. We know how to preserve things, the herbs and stuff, and the things that we do, and the knowledge. But the struggle is trying to live in the outer world. I don't know how to use a phone, the fancy phones. My spiritual daughter got together and bought me that phone, which has helped me sell my art, because my art feeds me. Right now, it's buying me groceries. So that's what it does, and I'm not out to do that. But I think the Creator is giving me a source where I can be self-supporting. And but the Ozark people, they know how to live. We all have gardens, and if somebody's hungry, we'll take. The churches are very good at that, and take people food that needs it or whatever. But then our mountains, maybe the people that comes is the meth labs, the getting away. The meth labs, the drugs, the we having trouble with robbery. And the meth is so bad, the drugs so bad, and they get up in these mountains, and they try to hide or hide in our cars, I don't know, but the people, like I said, the people know how to survive here, and they, we come together and we help each other.
There's a sense of independence and interdependence too, right?
Yeah. And yes, and and you won't get that much in the cities. They, you know, even in Huntsville, you know, I go to Huntsville, but yeah, the Ozark Mountains. But these are people that, you know, needs to be respected. You know, if you come up on their land and you're not welcome, you're going to be met with a rifle. You know, because we do protect our lands and our people, and because you know nowadays you don't know who's going to come knocking at your door. You know, and
Would you say that Native Americans face challenges in this region that are unique to their history and culture? Are their challenges the same as everybody else's?
It's everybody else's. Here in the Ozarks, you know, the Cherokee lived here way before the Trail of Tears, and some of the Cherokee here, you know, some of them may want to try to find their roots from, you know, Oklahoma. Well, that can, you know, a lot of times that don't happen unless you're right there on the reservation. But a lot of people here are part Native, part Cherokee. You'll talk to them and they'll say, well, I'm part Cherokee and stuff. And, you know, I danced in Oklahoma. I've been there. I've danced behind Chad Smith when he was chief with Thomas Muskrat and stuff like that. And then I quit because there was a lot of politics there, a lot of fighting amongst each other, and I'm not that. So here on this land, we do the Red Road, and we have our sacred circle, and we have our sweat lodges and stuff here. And thank goodness for Dennis Banks, which is my husband's friend. We lost Dennis Banks, but he fought for AIM to get our rights back. We're able to do our ceremonies without being ridiculed. And but that was a struggle for us. You know, we had to hide to do our, you know, or get arrested for, you know, doing our belief. And
what were the charges? What were they arresting you for? Just because they wanted to?
I'm not for sure, truthfully, but yeah, it's prejudice, and yeah, we're not allowed. There was a group one time came and asked the sheriff if they could have a gathering, and he said no. And you know, we have our rights, we have our papers and stuff to do the things we do, and we go to Indiana to the Potawatomi, Miami Trail of Death. They wasn't taken on the Trail of Tears. They were taken on the Trail of Death, which they had no encampments. Where they took the Trail of Tears, they had encampments. But the Potawatomi and Miami they drove them the Trail of Death, and they do it by car. Sometimes the Cherokee do it with bicycles and stuff, but so we go up to Indiana, and that's where my husband's Métis tribe is, band, and it is a 501c3 because we have to do that because we're not federally recognized. So that gives us our rights to do our ceremonies in our belief. And so we go up there, and he's chief there, and I'm a clan mother, and we support the museum of Rochester, Indiana, there, and we have family up there in Wapia, and we go up there and do our ceremonies and our dances and our drums, and so we're part of that. I do not go to Oklahoma anymore. I don't do that, and I don't go to northern Indiana. I've never been there. I'm a part of it, but I just seen things I didn't want to be involved in. Of course, too many people. I even went to dancing in Tahlequah, and I said, "Oh, too many people for me. I go back to my woods." But yeah, our native life is very, very important to us, and the people that comes, you know, we love them, and my house is always open. And I'm very proud of that. And, you know, the Creator has opened many doors to me. They just knocking at my door. the opportunity, like, the opportunities I have is like if I close that door, I think I'm going against Creator's wishes, His work, because that's what I'm about. Because the Creator saved my life. I was very sad person, depressed person, and all that. And if it wasn't for my ceremonies and my Creator, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be sitting here in front of a camera. So I'm very grateful, and I've served the Creator.
I want to close with this. You mentioned Red Road a couple of times. Can you elaborate on that?
Red Road is a spiritual path that the Native Americans believe in. We honor everything that we do. The Red Road is a path where we're grateful for everything we do. We're grateful for the water. We're grateful for the food we have. The Red Road is our very spiritual the traditional Native American path. The old ones taught us, Black Elk. Our brother's mentor out of Pine Ridge. We've been, we are mentored by the old ones, the elders, and I talked to the little ones in Oklahoma when I danced with them, and I said, "Do you know why we enter the East Gate when we dance? Do you know why we enter the left of the drum?" And they're all in their fancy regalia, and they said, "No, I don't know," or "We don't care." Have a Cherokee boy that goes to college in Tahlequah, and I said, "Son, do you know?" "No, we don't. We don't know." They're not being taught. And recently, they're they speak their language. In Stillwell, Oklahoma, with Thomas Muskrat and them, they speak their language there, and all that. And I don't know if they've been taught their ways, but the Red Road is a very traditional. If you're taught, a lot of people are trying to do that and not knowing what they're doing, like doing sweat lodges, and they're not being taught, and they end up killing people, or doing things that mixing things and this and that things. But whatever, that's on them. But being taught by the old elders, the old ways, that's what the Red Road is, and
peace, harmony,
and that's what is peace, harmony, and balance, and love for everyone. Red, white, black, whatever color you are, because we all bleed red, and that's the Red Road. We bleed red, and the prejudice, there is no, we don't. Anyway, I just speak for myself. I can't speak for others. I'm not. I speak from my own experience, and that what me and Wapia do is we love everyone. We treat with respect, as long as you treat us with respect. And they want what we have because they see things. Our sacred drums, our feathers, and things that we have. And they see that, and they want that. The beadwork, my beadwork that I do. This is all our work that we do, and they want. Oh, I want buckskins and beadwork, but these are all ceremony. These are ceremony. These are very sacred to us. It is not just a ha thing.
Souvenir,
our names, our name. I was born Sandra Long. That's my government name. But my spiritual name is Little Bird Rivers, and I've done ceremonies, sweat lodges, and to do that, who I am today. And once I got on the Red Road, truthfully on the Red Road, it's changed my life, and it changed many lives. The true spirit of the Red Road.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For talking to me today.
You're
This
welcome.
is fascinating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.